get to talking about this game, bro, because we got this massive game coming up. And every single time I think about the playoffs, I get excited because we haven't seen Coach D coach in the playoffs yet. We haven't seen most of the team play in the playoffs yet. I think we have 3 or 4 guys that have playoff experience, but everybody else is brand new to this. So I'm excited. And the reason is because playoff basketball is different than the regular season. It's like eating ramen noodles. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like the old noodles that come in the plastic bag, or going and having sushi. You know, like there's no comparison. You know, like to me, that's what's happening right now in the NBA when it's talking about the playoffs versus regular season. Is that you got one game and then changing cities, one game then changing cities. I mean, what type of preparation time do you have? None. I mean, you get maybe a practice in between to know what you're doing, but nothing else. Like here, when it's talking about a 7-game series, it's a whole new context because you got players that are going out there and you're seeing different defenses. Your options 1, 2, and 3 options are all being taken away. You know, like this is what it takes to be able to win games. And to me, that's why it's important for this team to get out there. And I think we can win. I'm not sitting here, putting expectations on this team against New Orleans, Pelicans, or Minnesota, or Los Angeles, whoever we end up playing. But to me, this team is primed and ready to win a big game. We're all ready. And you see the team as we're playing as a squad, as a unit. And I got to say is that we rebound properly in this game. We push the ball. We get turnovers, and we convert those turnovers. It's our game, and we control the narrative. And it's exciting, man.
Yo, man, I've been excited about all the energy around the team. And I've been watching post-practice interviews and really appreciate the questions coming in and just the intensity the media has now, because this team is like, hey, they're back in the playoffs and everybody should be pumped up, and they are. But when I see for Coach Daigneault is an opportunity for him to really guide these guys, and when I heard him being asked questions about what it's going to take to be successful within the play-in game and how it's going to work, he just seemed to understand, because of the 7-game series he played against the Rockets, what it was going to take. And I know he wasn't the head coach there, it was Billy Donovan, but being in those games, having Shea in those games, and now ultimately having the best player on the court going into a 1-game, series, I guess, a 1-game play-in, leads us to think that we are the best positioned to have success in this game coming up. Now, yeah. I'm not sure exactly if we're going to win it or not, because one of the strengths of the Pelicans has been their ability to send a double team consistently. They send the double team at Shea early. In fact, I heard Coach Daigneault being talking about it, and he said that he saw the Pelicans sent more double teams to Shea than anybody else. And they did it early, they did it often, they did it regularly. And so it seems like that's kind of something that has caught on a lot about a way to defend Shea, is send double teams early in the shot clock. And the Pelicans were doing that early in the season. They did it regularly, and they did it more than anybody else. So I find that to be one of those things that's going to be interesting to see how this team, approaches the game, how they decide to handle that. I think strategically, if I was, in the coaching position, I would say, like, for Shea, you do want to give the ball up early, but you want to get it back early too. So if you can touch the ball once or twice in every possession, you're better off than, maybe if you touch it once and then you handle it for, 12, 14 seconds, and then, the ball never finds you back in the shot clock. So, get the double team to come and then send the ball into rotation, let it get around the horn. If it doesn't find somebody open for a shot early in the shot clock, run that second action, cut to the basket, cut to the ball, get open on the perimeter, find a way to get downhill and attack. And that's going to be able to lead you in the direction that, is really most important, which is, breaking down the defense and finding multiple avenues for attack. And that's going to be, I think, what leads us through this type of situation. It's going to be a process, I think, to find out what Shea can do. But I think this game will be a lot of growth. And then immediately coming back, if we can find a way to win it, we're going to be facing a second opportunity, a second difficult situation in a really short amount of time, with a lot of length and a lot of similar style defenses, and with the main objective of getting the ball out of Shai's hand quickly and finding a way, to keep it from him, get somebody else to beat them. I think that'll be both teams' approach. Now, if we can get past that, get into a 7-game series, defenses will evolve, things will get a little bit different. But in the end, that's where I think both teams, if we do find a way to win the first game, we'll kind of take it. That'll be the starting point is, Shai's going to, we're going to try to get the ball out of Shai's hand. We're going to have somebody else beat us and have them beat us often in this game. It's really probably the only consistent approach. But anyway, that's sort of where I think like it's going to take, for this team to kind of like put it together and find a way to, stack the wins if we're going to be able to get them. Who knows if we're going to be able to do that, but, it starts out Wednesday. That's where it's at, man.
Man, you're absolutely right, though. If you think about what Shai needs to do in order to take over this game is getting downhill and getting his foot into that lane and then controlling the offense from there is what he needs to do, especially with the double team that the Pelicans are obviously going to send. So for me, it's all about getting downhill, taking control of the game, and making it so that the other team has to pay, which is the Pelicans, have to pay in order to double team Shai. If he figures this out, man, this is what separates stars and superstars, in my opinion, is that if you can learn to dominate the game with the ball in your hands and without the ball in your hands, it brings you to a whole new level. And we've seen Shai do it this year, whether it's him only scoring 22 points and having like 7 or 8 assists and, 8 rebounds. Like he does these things where he separates himself and doing other things. So I'm going to need to see Shai. We're going to all need to see Shai step up in a big way. And you know what? He could score 40 points off of a double team. So I'm not worried about that if we need to put up 40 points. But I believe that the way that we're playing and the way that we're trying to motivate these guys to play is that you take them and you teach them the team style basketball, so that when guys aren't playing well, you teach them to lean on other guys. Like how many times have we seen guys miss 2 or 3 threes in a row and they get an open 3 and they pump fake and go to the hole and pass it? It's because they recognize like, hey, my shot's not on. I'm not going to be selfish and take this shot right now. I'm going to get it into the offense. And Aaron Wiggins is so good at that. And recognizing that following a cutter, or doing these high IQ things that separate us in just, a very close game. And if this game comes down to a few possessions, it's going to come down to, in my opinion, Jay Will, Isaiah Joe, and Aaron Wiggins, and how many stops or how many charges or how many steals that these guys can pick up that people aren't expecting.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I heard Coach say was it's important for the coaching staff to figure out how to leverage Shai's gravity to get other players open. So how does he do that off the ball?
Well, to me, it's about recognizing who's helping you with the screens, the backdoor cuts, the flare outs, the fade outs. I mean, to me, it's all about the movements that Shai can do without the ball. That I guarantee these are things that he's working every single day on. These are not like, oh, Coach Dave is teaching you something new. No, fuck that shit. No, he knows exactly what he needs to do without the ball, right? What he's doing is moving to certain places where they have to guard him by 1 or 2 defenders, is recognizing, hey, Dort is right here. So if I come in between Dort and Josh, right, they're going to send Dort's defender over on me. And it's going to leave Dort wide open in that corner. So these are the things that Shai is going to have to do, that he's going to have to recognize, hey, I'm going to move here or do this. And then they're going to recognize me and they're going to send their second guy over really early on in the play. And that opens up everything else. So again, whether it's him going down to the middle of the lane without the ball and putting his foot into the lane at the high post, making 2 or 3 guys cut down immediately on him, opens up everything else for everybody else. So these are the things that I think that Shai will do, to really cause issues, especially if they're sending a double or triple team out there to him.
So if I'm coaching against a player like Shai, I'm making sure that all 5 players on the court at all times know where Shai is and how to handle it no matter what. Like if he catches the ball on the baseline and he drives, and you have this type of rotation or this type of cross match, here's where we're going to send the double from. And you're going to put in defensive principles that make it so everybody knows how to pay attention to him and what to do if he's in your area, and how not to get caught in no man's land between, your man and sending the double. Like, you need to be sending a strong double quickly, and Shea needs to get off the ball quickly, let the ball come into rotation, and then he can find ways, like you're saying, when the ball is on the opposite side, when he's weak side, he can send a cut to the basket. Then all of a sudden, these players are hyper vigilant because they have been trained, okay, you got to be aware of Shea. So the ball's coming at them and Shea's coming at them, and they're not sure which way to go. These are types of conundrums you can put defenses in by proper cutting and understanding your play. Yeah, go ahead.
And the overreaction, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get a team that's in the playoffs and their coach is starting to get mad at them and you got to stop him, double team him, triple team him, blah, 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 right? And they start doing that. You're right. And then in the third quarter, they're getting beat by 15. At the end of the third quarter, the coaches are like, okay, just guard everybody straight up. And then what happens? Shea goes off for 25 points in the fourth quarter, and everybody's pointing the finger saying, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. That's what we need to be able to see with this team is that, Shea, in my opinion, is one of the best closers in the league. And that's a lot due to the fact that he gets resting time just before his last 7-minute stretch. I think that's going to shrink in the playoffs here. But the reality is that whether it's 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it is, that he gets resting time, those minutes right there are going to shrink. And I think you're going to see Shea be able to put up 15 or 20 points in that short amount of time. And that's what we're going to be able to see how Shea is able to step up, is how he is able to get everybody else involved in the first 3 quarters.
We don't want to get too stuck comparing anything to the past, but there are so many reasons to be uniquely excited about this team and this city and this organization right here and right now. The ones that we want to just talk about really quick are the draft picks, the youth, because we're the youngest core in NBA history, and now we're making this play-in game. And we've seen other teams make a play-in game and turn that into...
That. When you say youngest core, what does that mean?
Well, we're the second youngest team in NBA history. Last year, we were the youngest team in NBA history. So instead of just saying it like that every time, we figured we'd just start saying we're the youngest core in NBA history. And we're just sitting there competing at the highest level with one of the youngest teams in the history of the league, the youngest core in NBA history. That's what we mean. And that's why we get excited, because you take that, you mix that with the draft picks, the new CBA, the experience that we're going to get Wednesday, and hopefully the season isn't over coming up. But that's it. This is why the hype is, for us, at an all-time high. Some people, like Barry Trammell and the Oklahoman, are just now realizing how cool it is to be at the interview times, because let's face it, it wasn't really sexy over the last 2 years, but it's sexy again. So we get to see him in his nice white suit, postering up for the cameras at the practice facility. That means the Thunder have made it back, guys. We hope you're piped just like everybody else.
Takes the heart, takes the passion, and that's why we love you guys. We'll be live tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow for the game. That's at 9:30 Eastern. We're hyped to be able to talk to you guys about that, because we've really enjoyed getting to know you guys. And now it's a do or die situation. So this could be our last live event for game-wise until next season, which is kind of crazy to think about, guys.
But we'll keep them coming. We'll figure out... We'll create new occasions to do live games, live hype stuff, whatever it takes, man. We love you, and we will see you soon. Thunder up.